In this episode, we're going to find out why this high-speed pick-and-place machine blew up, and hopefully we'll be able to fix it. So let's just start up the program and see what happens. Now remember, this has a gantry that moves back and forth in the X and the Y direction, so that's what we're homing here. And here you can see the heads homing. There they go. Now there's two heads on this machine, which means it can place parts twice as fast as our other machines. And that's the X-axis homing, and it's going to go all the way to the back at 0 point for the X and the Y. And unfortunately, the Y-axis failed. Now we've showed you in other videos how a pick-and-place machine works. We're going to go through that again in many more future videos. So that tells me there's something wrong with the electronics that are driving the servo motor for that Y-axis to move. So we'll take a look at that. So I'll be using my GoPro so you can see what I'm doing. At first glance, it might seem a bit complicated, but it really isn't. A bunch of high current power supplies, filters for the AC coming into the machine. We have a relay that turns the entire machine on and off. Obviously, you want to make sure the machine is unplugged before you start poking around inside of it. All of this is just bus wires. It's just to organize all the wires and make connections between them. There's nothing complicated there. Here, this is the board that drives the head, and we know that's working because we saw that the head homes. Up here we have the video processor, and that's what is used to both allow us to align the parts on the board, but also for the machine itself to see where the different components are positioned. If you like what you've been seeing in these videos, please be sure to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and turn on that notification bell. So really what that leaves us is the X and the Y servo amp drivers here. I don't think the motors are bad. Generally speaking, the servo motors don't go bad. So my guess is it's one of these two, and obviously it's probably the Y. So we're gonna have to go and swap those servo amps just to see if that's what's causing the problem. So let's swap out those servos. Even if we move the problem from the Y to the X axis, we're still going to have to fix the servos. You can see they're identical. So what we're going to do is we're just going to swap them. We're going to put the X on the Y and the Y on the X and see if the problem moves with it. Unsure how a servo amp and servo motor work together? There's plenty of videos here on YouTube to find out. Just do a quick search. And there you have it. And I gotta say, it wasn't easy. It's pretty tight in there, and it's getting a little hot. The real question now is, did we find the problem by switching it to the X-axis? A pick-and-place machine uses feeders like this one to load the components. The components come on a reel and are very tiny. The little square holes are the components, and they're about the size of a grain of salt. Obviously, we found the problem. By switching the servo amps, we moved the problem from the Y-axis to the X-axis. Now we just have to figure out what's wrong with the servo amp itself. In the next episode, we'll be repairing the servo amp, sticking it back in the machine, and see if we can get it to work.